What movie was basically just an ad? A few people here have already said Transformers. But Transformers the movie, 1986, was basically just an ad for the toys. There is also a rumor that they put in a single "shit" in the dialogue so it would earn a PG rating, so that kids would have to go with a parent, and the parent would have to sit through the commercial, so as to understand what particular toy the kids were screaming for this time. Wasn't the original cartoon just an ad for the toys as well? Like with He-Man, Action Figure Man, the How to Buy Action Figure Man episode. The Hulk, it was just one giant banner. Talladega Nights was the movie that managed to have the hugest amount of ad placement I've ever seen, without breaking my immersion, because NASCAR is already covered head to toe in corporate sponsorships, so it wasn't out of place. Also, the part where he's contractually obligated to advertise Powerade every time he says grace just demonstrated they had a level of self-awareness about the kind of ad placement they were doing. And it worked really well. If you don't chew Big Red, fuck you. People used to call me Big Red. I told them, stop. There's only one Big Red. America's #1 cinnamon goo monsieur. Looks like Ricky Bobby made the unusual choice to sell advertising space on his windshield. This sticker is dangerous and inconvenient, but I do love Fig Newtons. There are a couple Netflix Christmas movies that are just ads for Kay Jewelers. I watched some movie on Netflix about magical Christmas decorations and kept thinking, wow, this prop maker did a really shitty job. When I read the reviews on IMDb, I found out that it was a Hallmark movie and they actually do sell those ornaments. Not American, had no idea. The whole movie was basically an ad for their shitty product. The internship was basically just a recruitment video for Google, such a Silicon Valley circle jerk. The Lego Movie, ironically, they went full circle on Black Friday, when they aired an ad on YouTube that was the entirety of the Lego Movie. Top Gun. I love it. The Top Gun Navy enrollments went way up afterwards. It was literally made for that purpose. They even had Navy enrollment booths in the theaters. Battleships. I would have given the movie a lot more credit if the Navy played during the credits. In World War Z, when he finds a way to defeat the zombies and then drinks a Pepsi with the logo right in your face, I felt the whole thing was just a build-up to that Pepsi moment. Transformers. It's a giant ad for GM and Pepsi, played to the tune of Linkin Park. Edit. I get it, people. Transformers is also an ad for Transformers. I had assumed that was a given since they were the core of the movie. But here we are. And recruitment ad for US Army as well. Food Fight. An animated atrocity starring Charlie Sheen, Hilary Duff and Wayne Brady. It looks impassable for 2000, yet came out in 2012. Almost every scene contains a character which is a mascot for a popular brand of food or supply that can be found at your local supermarket. Mr. Clean just walks through a scene before you even meet the main character. Pitch Perfect 3 just seemed like a way to hype DJ Khaled. Jurassic World. There is literally a line where Chris Pratt says wanna see something cool, and the camera cuts straight to a Mercedes-Benz logo and the car racing through the forest. The Italian Job made me want a Mini. And then I found out how unreliable they are. Me too. As I'm wanting a Mini, then it made me want Charlize Theron. I failed at both. Edit. Geez, I didn't expect to get this high. Thanks for the silver as well. Also, I did not end up with a Mini. That dream was short-lived. To this day, the most memorable scene from I, Robot to me was the scene where Will Smith got a pair of Converse sneakers and said that they are vintage 2004. I saw the movie in theaters in 2004. It's funny that's the only scene you remember since the rest of the movie was basically an ad for Audi. Little Nicky, Popeye's chicken is the shiznit. This is one of many ads throughout the movie. Mr. Deeds was bad too. When they land a helicopter at a Wendy's for no reason. I think the punchline was just, how do you like those biggie fries? Like not even a joke aside from buying fast food in a helicopter. Castaway, brought to you by FedEx. And Wilson. This is the worst one. Because it's subtle about it. At first you're like, well, it's not really a product placement cause the plane crashed. That's shitty product placement. But when he doesn't open the package and delivers it at the end, I am like, wait, did I just watch a FedEx commercial? Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. The whole movie was just an ad for chocolate bars that were being put out by Quaker Oats. The only problem was the chocolate bars melted at room temperature and were pulled. I'm pretty sure Quaker Oats financed the film as well. Talladega Nights. I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew. Wonder Bread. Big Red. I'm surprised they got so many companies to be in on the joke. It's a hard sell to say that your product placement is going to be, if you don't chew Big Red, then fuck you. And part of a movie that takes a jab at corporate sponsorship. The Hunger Games. Mockingjay Part 1 was a long and drawn-out advertisement for Mockingjay Part 2. To this day, I am mad I paid to watch it in theaters. The book is only 300 pages, so there's no way to stretch it out. It works better as a book because Katniss is meant to be a chess piece, so she doesn't do anything that doesn't involve being a figurehead. My favorite part of Mockingjay was how it proved the central thesis of the series by being dull. Everyone agrees it's the worst book of the three. Why? Because there's no action. There's no danger. In this series that critiques modern culture for being reliant on violence as entertainment. People want more violence. Just perfect. That's the point. Katniss is a chess piece who isn't meant to do anything, so she does nothing in the book. The book makes no secret that conflicts like that suck. Since most of the victors are either depressed, but sometimes you need to be violent. The war is just as emotionally, mentally scarring as the games. Especially since Katniss gives up the will to live after Prim died because of her mistakes. And her family is just as divided. Even for a kid's book, I feel Collins did a good job. I was in middle school when the book came out, and I understood it perfectly. In fact, I like the addition of how Snow prostituted victors. Which only adds up to why they're so emotionally damaged. Because they refuse and Snow kills their families. Mac and me. I just rewatched it through Mystery Science Theater. I couldn't believe how much coke was in it. Literally life-saving coke. How did I ever like that movie when I was a kid? I love the scene when they're reviving Mac with a coke and the boy says something to the effect of, "This must be like what he drinks on his home planet." Ah yes. A species that thrives on carbonated corn syrup. The Emoji Movie. What was it selling? The idea, at least, of emojis is free of fake apps. It was advertising apps. One section of the movie they literally just play Candy Crush because plot. Plus all the emoji merchandise bullshit you see in stores nowadays. Backpacks, plushies, pillows, bullshit, bullshit, bullshit. OMG, nobody has said evolution yet. As an ad for Head & Shoulders? They needed the selenium, right? Yup, and the active ingredient in Head & Shoulders is selenium sulfide. TBH, the way they pulled it off was funny AF. CACAWWW. Tuki. Exclamation mark. Quote. Contrary to its purpose, the documentary Super Size Me got me into eating McDonald's. Fast and Furious series. I nearly bought all those cars before waking up. That bald dude in the first one was all, "If you're gonna have a beer, have a Corona," and even 5-year-old me was confused as fuck. You can have any beer you want, as long as it's a Corona. How else do you establish an obvious non-Mexican as a real Mexican? I always thought the character was Italian for some reason. There's a scene in Wayne's World that is basically a 2-minute love letter to Pizza Hut, Doritos, Reebok, Nuprin and Pepsi. It's like people only do things because they get paid. And that's just really sad. Edit. Holy shazbots. I got a thing. Thank you, kind Redditor. Edit to thank you, kind Redditors. Plural. To those of you who commented to inform me that this scene was In fact, a joke. I'm disappointed in you all. I used a quote from the same damn scene in my comment. Little, yellow, different. Redditors who were born after that movie came out may not realize from your comment that that scene was a parody of shameless selling out that doubled as actual selling out. The fourth wall breaking, meta aspect of that movie is pretty underrated. Honestly, The Martian felt like an ad for NASA and I'm totally fine with that. Also, The Martian was done so damn well that every time I watch it I feel like it's based on a true story. If anything, we need more ads for NASA. Jack and Jill, Harold and Kumar go to White Castle. Still a great movie though. That was truly the best movie I ever saw as the only person in the theater on an opening release. I thought it was an anti-drug PSA. Or pro-drug, maybe, I dunno. Doogie Howser snorts a line of coke off a hooker's ass in this fine film. You're definitely pro. Josie and the Pussycats. Josie and the Pussycats is the best movie ever. So underrated and prescient. Especially since the movie preceded the heydays of acts like Avril Lavigne, Michelle Branch and other pop rock female acts of the 2000s. The soundtrack is great. It took 6 whole hours and 5 long days. I thought that movie was making fun of product placement. It did. The whole movie was a running gag about product placements and consumerism. Monsieur, I think I want to Zima. Dude, you don't even drink. I think I should start. Quote. I took kids to see the Paw Patrol movie. That was a complete cash grab, an advertisement for a new line of toys. Almost every kids show is like this these days also. I swear character design has the sales and marketing divisions hovering over them, asking them to change things so toys can more easily be made to match what the kids see on TV. These days, you think this is a recent phenomenon. The Transformers cartoon was literally to sell toys. It's been that way since the 80s. All Hallmark Christmas movies look like 1 hour and 30-minute commercials. The cameras used, the editing, the acting, everything. Probably decent stories. IDK, I don't watch them. But not good quality emo. Literally looks like a bunch of commercials to me. Greater than probably decent stories. As someone who has had them going in the background while I was on the computer. My mom is friggin' obsessed with them. They're fucking terrible. It's always someone from the cold, heartless, Christmas hating, big city for some reason goes back to warm, loving, idyllic, Christmas loving, small town and decides to stay after falling in love with someone that initially they have significant friction with, if not outright hate. The only 3 things I have ever seen differ in them are: 1. Sometimes the main protagonist is female, and sometimes it is male. 2. Sometimes, frequently, there is a wedding. Sometimes there is not. And 3. Sometimes, very frequently, the kind, love and family the small towner love interest comes from is from one of the few rich families, the only rich family in town, who just happen to be so charitable and giving and caring about their community. Just like all rich people outside of big city news outlets and companies. Other times the person is middle class or poor. Frequently with big city protagonist being rich and taking care of them financially in the end. Now I'm kind of dreading my trip down south for Christmas. Someone tweeted, as a relatively busy and successful businessman in the city, my greatest fear is losing my girlfriend to a single father who teaches her the true meaning of Christmas. And there is always a gazebo in the center of town. Probably going to get murdered for saying this, but Wreck-It Ralph 2v. I remember watching the Emoji Movie and thinking, this is just a shitty Wreck-It Ralph. Then I saw Wreck-It Ralph 2 and I'm even more accurate. Right, the original WIR movie was so good. No pandering. Good story. Emotional. This one fucked up bad with the whole our fellow kids approach to it. I wouldn't say the second one is bad, but the first one is definitely still my favorite. I mean, Zombieland, Amert, ? Exclamation mark, question mark. I was wondering how far I'd have to scroll to find Zombieland Twinkies. Thank you so much for watching and have a good day.